But listen to Nikki Haley over here, how once again trying to convince people, right, that Ukraine's democracy is tied to our democracy.
European countries have given more than us. So let's focus on real facts and not scare people into this. The truth is, a win for Russia is a win for China. Fact. The other thing is we have to understand that the way we win is make sure Ukraine finishes this. Look at what they've done. Look at how far they've gone. And don't underestimate the fact that Putin is a murderer. We saw that with Prigozhin. We know what he's capable of. I worked with him in the UN. He and China made no bones about the fact that they want to destroy us. Let's not take our eye off that ball.
Putin's a murderer. So now you know why Nikki Haley is George Bush and Dick Cheney in a dress.
Since when is
That's
murder
what she is.
a reason that
a
we
murder?
would ever...
He's a murderer? The United States is the biggest murderer in the history of murderers.
Let's say, though, we're great and a force for good in this world, and not that. Let's say that. And how about everybody we do business with that's a clear murderer, such as the Saudis that killed that Khashoggi guy, and then Trump said, what are you going to do? The guy's a murderer. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And how could he say that?
Yeah.
Remember they said, oh, Putin's a killer, and Trump was like, we got a lot of killers. A lot of killers in the United States, a lot of killers there. Did Putin invade Iraq and kill 1 million people? Did Putin invade Syria and kill 1 million people? Did Putin occupy Afghanistan for 20 years?
Does he not paint beautiful pictures now like George W? That's the difference.
Did he order a torture program to cover up for his war crimes?
He had a torture program.
Right?
Nobody would be like, yeah, well, you got to torture. What are you going to do?
Well, you know.
It's just amazing how when I talk to people, they'll say, oh, Putin's a thug, or Putin's a gangster, or Putin. There's no bigger thug criminal in the world than Joe Biden. He beats Putin by about 10 to 20 or maybe 100 times over. And anyone says that is just spewing propaganda, and it's fucking disgusting. It's disgusting to hear people who went to college and who I would ask advice from on other things saying stupid shit like Putin's a murderer or a gangster or Putin's a thug. That is so fucking unhelpful and stupid.
But he hates the LGBT community,
That's
Jimmy.
right.
I mean...
You know who does also? Half the lefties in South and Central America.
Yeah.
You know, if Putin raps, they'd support him.
But you know, the mainstream media is always manufacturing consent this way. They always give you bad guys and demons. That's how they justify every single war. We got to go here because of that guy. Saddam Hussein. He was awful. He's a modern day Hitler. Same thing with Putin. Gaddafi.
Assad.
All the time. Assad.
Go down the line.
Why does it work though? I mean, you just said Joe Biden is the biggest thug in the history of all thugs. So why does it work when they say, and all you have to do is put brass tacks up there. How many people has Joe Biden been guilty of killing?
That's right.
Versus Vladimir Putin. Joe Biden was for every single fucking war, including the Iraq war. He was a senator with the Democrats, and he's the one who brought it to the table for George W. Bush to have his illegal war. And how many millions of Iraqis are either displaced or killed to this day. But he's not the only Republican, and this is why I always get mad or get a little cautious when people start saying, well, you know, the Democratic Party is the party of war. No, they both are. They always agree on war. Here's Mitt Romney literally saying, and this is how it shows you how insensitive he is, and I don't know how he can sell this. Hey, listen, there are lives that are being lost in the Ukraine.
He didn't really say that,
but there are no American lives, Kurt.
Well, that's how America feels. That's American to feel like that.
Being able to take an amount which equals what, about 5% of our military budget?
It's only 5% of our military budget. It's a bargain.
Actually, less than 5% of our military budget each year to help the Ukrainians is about the best national defense spending I think we've ever done. We're losing no lives in Ukraine. And the Ukrainians are fighting heroically against Russia that has 1,500 nuclear weapons aimed at us. So we're
how many lies
diminishing and devastating the Russian military for a very small amount of money relative to what we spend in the rest of defense. A weakened Russia is a good thing, and the best thing we can do for America is to see people who have nuclear weapons aimed at us getting weaker.
Wow!
Oh my God!
You guys want to unpack that one, please? I mean,
I'm just blown away on every level by that. You really have to be the kind of idiot that deeply believes in Mormonism to have the same level of stupid. Like, I mean, he could all just be lying, and he knows it's all a lie. But he said that like a good Mormon boy.
Oh, he knows everything he just said is garbage.
Like
he knows
that Jesus Christ came to the Americas.
It's part
to
of the
talk to natives.
programming.
That's just him to do. That's it. That's in his mind. Mitt Romney's just doing politics. This is what I do. This is what politicians
Once
do.
the Brill cream gets in there,
we present a narrative to get what the oligarchy wants to accomplish, and this is the narrative we're presenting: is that we're fighting it back against a nuclear power who wants to invade us or something.
I guess what
it doesn't make any sense. Of course,
of course, that you're right. But what I mean is, like, does he believe that narrative sounds like a believable narrative?
It does.
As he's saying it sounds crazy out of his mouth.
It does. The establishment Democrats and Republicans embracing it wholeheartedly. Go look at all the assholes with the Ukraine flag. Look at all the comedians who are doing benefits for Ukraine, for fuck's sake, Kurt. They all buy it. They all buy it.
But it's part of the...
Other than Jon Stewart with that big one.
Yeah. So you see what happened. By the way, just real quick, we should do a story about this Wednesday, but just not to do... Jon Stewart, so he says the truth about the vaccine, the virus coming out of the Wuhan lab.
Right.
He's immediately excommunicated from shit liberty society, and he's called every name in the book like they call us on a daily basis. Jon Stewart doesn't have the integrity or the strength to take it like we do. So he immediately knuckles. The CIA says, please go pin a medal on a Nazi at Disney World and never tell the truth about what's happening in Ukraine. And so he doesn't.
You think
and then
they tell him that much even?
And then they set him up with some softball interviews with some fucking second or third person down the line at the Pentagon or whoever that fucking woman was, so he could look like a truth teller pushing back against against corruption. And then what do they do for him? They give him an Emmy. So he's Emmy nominated for that shit show that he does that's fucking pro-war and pro-big pharma. He was garbage on big pharma, he was garbage on the vaccine, and he's garbage on Ukraine, and to the point where he's pinning medals on Nazis, and that's how he got his Emmy nomination. That's because that show sucks. He does.
Yeah, no, it's real bad.
I want to say this much, though. What he's saying over here does kind of tie into what we call empire education. Johnny Tsunami used to say empire education, the way we are programmed growing up, not just at school, but in our pop culture, our movies and stuff. I don't know if I will ever be as upset. Second place upset was, rooting against the Russian in Rocky IV, but Rambo 3 had me rooting for the Mujahideen. In Afghanistan, I was actually rooting for the Mujahideen because they were fighting back the evil Russians. And that's how it's implanted in your mind. So these guys are just following up on that culture that we have within our society.
I still believed it well into the Afghanistan war.
The Mujahideen, baby.
I still believe them because of Rambo.
I rooted for them.
I had a conversation with a famous comedian friend of mine the other day, and I had to try to explain to him that everything you think you know is wrong. Everything you think you know about Trump is wrong. Everything you think you know about the war or COVID or the Democratic and Republican parties, it's almost for sure it's the opposite of what you believe is the truth.
Yeah,
and
pretty much down the line.
They'll say, "Come on, Trump. He's horrible. They all believe that Trump's a special kind of horrible."
Did he mention what policies of Trump's were in any way different or worse?
No, they can never do that. They just
name one thing.
They just referred to white supremacy. That's all they got.
Fascism, buddy.
Fascism, white supremacy,
misogyny.
For Glebe at least had the college thing.
He had college things that
he at least had something to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it didn't happen. He was wrong, but he at least had a thing.
At least he had a thing that he could say.
Even though this thing is stalled out, and you can see the U.S. intelligence verdict, Ukraine's offensive is a total failure. It still seems like they're going to still try to pump some money through at the very end, no matter what.
Oh, it's like COVID masks.
Before they go back to their COVID scheme, right? For the mask and the money scheme over there.
Both masks in Ukraine didn't work, but we're doing them anyway.
The U.S. intelligence community has finally admitted what many in the alternative media, right over here, have been saying for 6 months. We've been saying it for longer than 6 months, I'll tell you that much. Namely, that Ukraine's much-hyped offensive has completely failed, and its fanciful objective of somehow retaking the coastal city of Melitopol. Moreover, intelligence analysts are now admitting that the war is unwinnable for Ukraine.
Are they?
It was unwinnable from the get-go.
But you were right for the wrong reasons. I'm just getting my... Who said you were right for the wrong reasons?
That's Scott Adams.
Yeah, I'm getting my Scott Adams
also,
together.
and also, what's the guy? Is it Sam Harris?
Oh, it is a Sam Harris. I was hoping it was a Sam Harris.
Sam Harris, yeah.
Well, his name is Vax Adams. I don't know if you know, it's been changed to that. So
Scott Adams?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Did he change his name on
No,
Twitter?
we called him that. We changed it. Vax Adams is what we like to call him.
I've been calling him Hitler. No.
He was Hunter. It's just, it's not, again, it's not a sin to be wrong about COVID. It's a sin to then still try to pretend you were right about it, even though you know you were wrong, and that the people who got it right were somehow wrong for being right. And that's what they're all doing. That's what Scott Adams said. That's what Sam Harris is doing.
Because they put it in them. And that's really hard, Jimmy. It takes a lot of cojones to come out and say, I was wrong. Now, because think about it, what you're doing, the fear that you're putting into yourself that, oh my God, did I do this to myself? I did it to myself. It takes a lot of guts to come forth and say, hey, you know what? Might be. But a lot of people can't do that. And they're going to tell themselves whatever they want to tell themselves that out of fear, out of programming.
So that'd be my bad? Yeah. Okay.
All these people at the Sea Org, I wish Scientology was still strong to siphon off some of these people that went into regular.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because they're the ones like getting beat up in the office, and then they go and enforce it on everyone else.
Yes. So the people still wearing masks and pushing for lockdowns.
That's the Sea Org.
They should normally they would be siphoned off into Scientology.
Yep. But they have not. That's why their anxiety is free floating. They don't have the things
to get into. Free floating anxiety. Yeah. That's what that is. The free floating anxiety.
Yeah, we all shit on these like cults and things, but they really were. A lot of extreme energy was going to more productive places.
Yeah,
like a space religion than what we actually have now.
Come see us live on tour. We're going to be in Toledo, Detroit, St. Louis, Tampa, Boca Raton, Orlando, Dallas, Houston, San Diego, Bloomington, Illinois. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.